Let me tell you a story of how I almost lost 25 million naira to a real estate company in one of the most carefully crafted real estate fraudulent schemes. It is true that real estate is one of the most lucrative businesses that helps you hedge against inflation, and also it gives you like a very great ROI. Considering the fact that Nigeria is at a population of about 230 million people, more than 50% of them are younger, below 30 years old. Majority of the population are 18. You have a rising population that is going to need a place to live as they grow and grow. And this was the analytics and the data that I followed back in 2024 when my wife and I decided that we were going to, purchase a property, and so we can either put that for rent or Airbnb. We started looking out for properties and that we could buy, and we were working with a real estate agent. Her name is Priska, and she started looking for properties for us. We went to a couple of places that we did not like. Eventually, she found a place for us called MKH City, which is a real estate company somewhere along Olumide Scheme Academy Road in Ibadan, which has been developed by MKH Properties, a company based in Lagos. They also have an office in Ibadan. We went to the place, we checked it out. I sent my property manager down to the place to inspect and do some due diligence, the documentation and all of that stuff. And he said everything checks out. It was great. So we had a little bit of back and forth. As at the time, MKH was selling these properties as an off-plan property. On the site in the estate, we saw a couple of 3-bedroom apartments that we could have purchased off at once, and they were going for about 40 million naira. But we wanted a customized plan where we wanted like a dining room within the living room, because the existing ones did not have that. Rather, they had like a boys' quarter at the back of the building. Well, we didn't want a boys' quarter. So they charged us an extra 1 million, making a total of 41 million. Now, MKH has a payment plan where you could actually pay 10 million naira, deposit 10 million naira, and then you spread the balance across 6 months. We wanted to buy it off at once, but we saw that it was very risky. Real estate developers can be very tricky. So we decided that we were going to deposit 20 million, and we requested a payment plan of 8 months instead of 6 months. And on the 13th of November 2024, we finally deposited 20 million naira, and we entered into a contract with MKH. Now, my wife and I were excited about this purchase. We were so happy that, we were contributing to one of the housing crises that the country had. But one of the first red flag was MKH never even called us for, come and get your contract of sales or whatever document. We had to follow up with the agent 2 weeks after, and they called us to their office to pick it up. And my wife and I were excited. We went out, had fun to celebrate, we are going to be homeowners and, potentially landlord, because we plan to put this property up for Airbnb and probably start making some passive income off it. 3 months after we made the first deposit of 20 million naira, we never heard anything from MKH. This was the first red flag, and I should have actually taken action. But rather, I followed up with the agent again and said, these guys have not called me to check where the property is or where they're siting the land or where they're locating, or have they started construction or anything. And she was very diplomatic. She was sounding very, using a lot of flowery words, using a lot of, very corporate terms with me. And I was like, I'm not interested in a lot of this jigaboo shit. Where is the land, right? So eventually she told me to reach out to the manager called Uche, who is in charge of their branch in Ibadan. I reached out to Uche, and he sent me, I should send an email to the company. I was like, what the fuck is this? Right? So angrily, I sent an email to MK saying, I want a refund within the next 2 weeks. There is no update from them. I've not heard anything. This is it's not giving confidence, and I want a refund within the next 2 weeks, or else I'm going to involve, legal enforcement team. Somebody called Miro, I believe he was the CEO at the time. reached out, started pleading, saying all sort of things. They are sorry, or they made a mistake, and all those things like that. I said, well, I'm no longer interested. Then again, a few days after that, the CEO of the company, Dr. MKH, I think MKH stands for Muhyiddin Kehinde Ahmed or something. His name happens to be also the name of the company. Anyway, so abbreviation MKH, called me and also started pleading, saying, oh, they are so sorry. It was Mr. Huche who fucked up the whole thing. There was a lot of operational failures within the team. He apologizes. They're going to raise the building up onto the lintel level within the next 90 days. Promised me, gave me assurance again in the project and saying all sort of things. And I said, okay, go ahead, let's see. Mind you, this was 3 months into my 8 months repayment plan, and they were supposed to deliver the property to me in 12 months. So 3 months was gone and wasted. Now, nothing happened again up until the 5th month when I had to follow up with Dr. MKH again. Then he started giving me all sort of excuses, saying, oh, there was a delay with the government approval. They were blasting some rocks and stones within the site, yada, 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 yada. Oh, then he started getting defensive and abusive, and I say, hey, calm the fuck down. I made a payment to deliver what I paid you to do and stop all of this crap. And then he started pleading again, all sort of things. Oh, saying, oh, who is speaking with me? Is anybody speaking to me not to continue with this project? Started playing some emotional, manipulative tactics in there. I said, I'm not interested. Deliver this stuff like that. Lo and behold, a few weeks after that, they started the construction. They started with the foundation level, and we went to the site to see. They started construction. They were doing it, and a couple of other things like that. Yeah, and we were excited. And he said, you know what, we are happy with the progress, we want to continue. Then we paid another 5 million naira, making 25 million that we had paid MKH Group. And a few weeks after that, we went back to the site again. We realized they started raising it up onto, the window level. We were happy with the progress and all of that. By the time they got to the lintel level, they abandoned the project again. And I followed up with Dr. MKH saying, what's happening? The project has been abandoned. He said, oh, they're going to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Then at a point, nothing happened. I followed up with him again, saying, hey, what's happening? I'm not pleased with the progress, because at that time, it was already getting to like the 7th month into the contract. And by the 8th month, I'm supposed to balance them up with about, I think, 16 million naira. Anyways, followed him up. I told him, I've been to the site. Nothing has happened again. They've not roofed it, yada, yada, yada. And he said, oh, the roofing is going to come by next few weeks. And that took like another 1 month before they even started preparing to fix the planks and all those stuff into the building. By the 8th month, I went, like, nothing happened aside that. Then I sent him a message, I'm not pleased with we need to rediscuss when you are going to finish this property and a proper payments plan this time, because you've wasted about 6 months out of the 8 months I'm supposed to balance. But he said, oh, I don't understand what you're saying. Let's have a call. And I think a couple of days after we had the call, and he said he was busy, he's going to call me back. And I didn't hear from him for another 2 weeks. Then he called me. I sent him a message again saying, you know what, I'm going to, perhaps if I sent this message through my lawyers, you are going to be much more excited about this. I went to speak to my lawyer about this whole situation, and she advised me having a call with him. I told him I've already had a call. She said, have another call with him. So in between me waiting to have another call with MKH, I got a notice from MKH saying I now have a default fee of 5% interest on my balance of 16 million naira. I should make a payment, or they were going to start charging me. So I had a call with Dr. MKH. We had a very long call, and I explained to him, we talked, you guys messed up this whole thing. Why are you sending me? I'm not the one that defaulted. You are the one that defaulted. You wasted about 6 to 7 months of my time on this deal. And you want to charge me interest? And he said he was so sorry. He's going to speak to the team. The recovery department are just doing their job, and he is going to find a way to sort it out. Lo and behold, somewhere around November 2025, I got another email from the MKH company again, saying I now have a 5% amounting to about 800,000 naira that I'm supposed to pay, and this is going to be accumulating compound interest every month. So I went back to my lawyer and said, you know what, I'm no longer interested in this. These people have been playing fraudulent schemes with me. So my lawyer wrote to them demanding a refund, explaining a lot of the stuff that, a lot of legal warfare went into that. And MKH responded back to us saying, you know what, hold on the payment. They are suspending the 5% monthly interest. I should hold on the payment. They are going to call me when they deliver the property. And I should note that when they call on me, I'm going to start paying 5% daily interest once they notify me to come and get the property. And I was like, this is insane, because hold on can be next 2-3 years before they complete the stuff, including the estate facilities like road, water, lights, which on December 2025, it was non-existent, So we had a back and forth. My lawyer wrote back to their letter saying, we cannot agree to that. It is unfair. We are not going to play any of the stuff. As of November 2025, a lot of the facilities that they mentioned they were going to deliver in the 12th month after my payment, which happens to be the December 2025, was non-existent. There was no way in the world we were going to make that happen within 1 month, right? So on 28th of November, we had a meeting with MKH, very long meeting where they admitted to fucking up and breaching the contract. They pleaded again, saying we should give them more time and that, they were going to hand over the property to us. So we requested, can you commit to a date, give us a date when you're going to hand over this property? And a lot of back and forth. Eventually, what we agreed on the meeting was get back to us with a date and then give us 7 days notice for us to make payment, right? And everybody said we were fine. Now, after the meeting we had with MKH on November 28th, 2025, for the next 6 months, they got back to us with the dates, we didn't hear anything or whatsoever. And then on February 16th or 15th, I went to the site again just to check, and I saw that, nothing was happening. These guys were practically using delay tactics to delay us, and then they ceased communication, they didn't get back to us or anything. That was when I realized that they were being fraudulent and playing a very high-level fraudulent game, but it was in a way legal because in the real sense, they didn't actually commit any fraud, but they were committing fraud, if you know what I mean, legally. So after I went to the site, the following week, on Monday, I went to FCCPC to lay a complaint, and I went right back to my lawyer and said, you know what, I'm not going to give these guys any more time. Write them a demand letter asking for a refund. So I submitted a complaint to FCCPC, and they sent a letter to the MKH office. And I believe because they saw like the federal organization involved, it broke their defenses. They didn't expect me to go to that level, which they admitted during one of the meetings later on. So my lawyer wrote back to them requesting a refund and added my account number, saying they should get us in the next 14 days. Anyways, finally, MKH wrote back to us saying, okay, now they agreed, they're going to refund back our money, of equivalent of 25 million naira, but they needed 30 working days, right? Before we had a chance to respond back to that letter, FCCPC, which is the Federal Consumer Protection Commission, invited MKH and myself to the meeting. So my wife and I went there. We met with some of their executives, and we had a very long talk. The FCCPC made it very known that what they did was terrible, it was bad. They were trying to rip off the customer, and they mandated that they were supposed to refund my money to me. And they asked me how soon they want my money. I said 7 days. MKH said they could not come up with the money within the next 7 days. I should please give them more time. Anyways, we agreed that we had that meeting sometimes on the 6th of March, and we agreed that on or before the 31st of March, they were supposed to refund my money, and we signed an agreement together. And I can confirm that by the month end of March, I actually got back my money. There is a high level fraud that real estate company do, and I happen to be one of the victims. In case you feel like, you know, well, what exactly happened in there, you got your money back, let me explain it to you. Real estate companies buy a large piece of land, then they build, let's say, 10 to 15 units of properties on that land. They build a fancy gate, you know, they beautify it, and they slap it like a huge value on the properties. Let's assume they are selling each unit of these properties at 15 million naira. Now, let's assume they have 10 of these units on the property on the site. Then they get investors like myself to come, they buy the properties at 50 million naira, let's assume. Then they intentionally delay you for a long period of time. They use your money and invest it in that estate or in another project. Now, they delay you. Meanwhile, the value of the estate and the properties in between that estate is going up. Now, the same property that they sold to you at 15 million naira is now going for 30 and 40 million naira. Now, they make you wait until you ask for your refund. By the time they refund you your money, 15 million naira, they've actually made 20 to 15 million naira extra on that same property. They sell it at a higher price and they hand over your money back to you. Meanwhile, your money has lost value. If you had bought the Nigerian treasury bills at a rate of, let's assume, 25 to 30%, you would have made a whole lot of money. In my case, I would have made close to 9 to 10 million naira, my 25 million naira, for the period of 16 to 17 months that they held on to it. So it's a high level fraud that real estate company actually do. Now, something I want to say is that I am not against real estate, but I believe that if you're under 35, real estate is not the most suitable investment you can make because it is illiquid. First of all, it ties your money down. If you're not in need of your money for the next 5 to 10 years, you can go into real estate. Or you have like a huge sum of money, you have the option of diversifying. I highly recommend it. Another thing to note is the devaluation of currency. Whatever gains you are making might have been wiped off by the naira devaluation within the next 2 to 3 years when you're selling off those properties, right? So the key lessons for you, number one, do your due diligence. When you research the companies, make sure they have a track record of actually delivering properties. If you can, buy the property up once at once, or it's a ready-made building they've completed, you just move in, then you can have a payment plan. The second thing is that you should involve your lawyer to draft airtight contracts when they are dealing with real estate company. They are extremely cunning set of groups. We've heard so many stories like P1, Andron Homes. You know, they are all in so many scandals. So you want to protect your investment as much as possible. If you want to invest in real estate, you should go ahead, but make sure you look inward and make sure you tick all of the buckets I just mentioned. So thank you and cheers.
See as the thing one cast, my money just dey hang, 17 months gone, the story no dey change. FCCPC enter, them sign the paper sharp, my alert don land, the victory dey for hand, but the value wey I lose, e heavy for my mind, so I dey go court now, for the interest wey remain. Know your rights, so Echo, no let them cheat you, know your rights, so Igboro.